What's up, ladies and genitals? My name is Andy Harris, and today's video is going to be like a beginner's guide to vibrato, bending, and the whammy bar. So grab your guitar and let's go have some fun. Alright, so jumping right into it, vibrato. What is vibrato? To me, vibrato is bending the string at a rate, and you're changing the pitch of the note up and down, and you're doing it either quick or slow. And there's a lot of applications for it. It adds a little sustain to your note, allows the note to just carry on a little bit longer, and it adds this kind of melodic vibe to it as well. So I'm going to play a note without vibrato, then one with vibrato, and see if you can tell the difference. It's kind of boring, right? But you add some vibrato, slow, could be quick, and that's it. That's vibrato. Now, how am I doing this? I'm not just using my finger. Most of this comes from the wrist. All the motion that I'm doing, you see my hands kind of shaking here, right? It's kind of like doing a parade wave or opening a doorknob. That's the best way that I can describe how I'm achieving this. I'm also pulling down. When I use my first finger, I typically pull down on the string versus up. Now, if I'm using my middle or my ring finger, I might bend up. It's just a bit easier that way for me. The mechanics of my hand, I don't know. But there's a lot of different styles of vibrato, and it kind of goes hand in hand with bending, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Bending. So bending's pretty self-explanatory. You're bending the note, and you can do this pretty much anywhere, anytime you want. There's a lot of cool licks you could play. There's a lot of cool things you can do with bending, and it adds, again, this little extra flair, a little extra something to your guitar playing. Now, bending is not the easiest thing to do, so when you're practicing it, go slow. Get a nice controlled grip, a nice controlled motion, and really just focus on the control, because that's really the most important thing when it comes to bending. You don't want like a weak bend, especially if you're playing behind a backing track with chords. If you bend too much or too little, a good way to practice that is find a reference note. So we're gonna go to 13 on the second string, and we're gonna try to bend to that pitch, right? So I'm gonna go to 12, and I'm gonna bend to the pitch of 13, which I think is a half step. Sounds pretty close to 13. A little too much. So you want to practice that. Figure out where the pitch is. Figure out where that half step bend is. And then the next logical step is a whole step, right? So that would be like going to 14. A little too much. Kind of tricky to do, but the muscle memory will get there, and you're not going to get it perfect every single time, but it's a good way to start learning the motion for bending. And then once you get that down, you can start adding the vibrato to it, and you can do things, you can bend and then add a little vibrato on the end. And it's really up to you. It's up to your creative mind. It's whatever your mind decides to do. The last thing I want to touch on here is the whammy bar. Now, this thing can also be used to do vibrato. Some people call it the vibrato bar, the trem arm. There's a million names for it. I call it the goofy thing, right? So you want to practice this. I would start by learning the position that you got to hold your hand. It's a little awkward if you're trying to, if you're trying to play at the same time as using the trem arm. It's a little awkward at first. I'm used to holding my pick like this. I hold it kind of strange. I have my pinky out for some reason, and sometimes I anchor my pinky here. But so bringing the whammy bar up and learning to hold the pick with just your thumb and your first finger, and then utilizing the rest of your fingers and your wrist and your arm and everything to apply the pressure that you need to the whammy bar, it's kind of a tricky thing to develop, but I would just start by just slowly tapping the whammy bar, you know, so you kind of get used to where your hand has to be. And then from there, I would start learning how to just depress it a little bit. The coolest things that you can really do, of course, everybody loves the dive bomb. That's always a fun thing. There's other little tricks you can do. How applicable those are to what you're playing, it's up to you. But you could also do swells. But learning it, you just got to mess around with it. And it comes with time and practice, but start out slow, just start out. And then you can figure out, you know, what's this other guy doing? How's he incorporating it into his playing? There's so many things you can do with the whammy bar. It's unreal. Same with bending, same with vibrato, same with everything on the guitar. It's limitless. Truthfully, it's limitless. And all of the fun stuff comes with time. But that's pretty much it. That's vibrato, bending, and the whammy bar. There's really nothing else left to explain. It's pretty straightforward, you know. It's just raising or lowering the pitch and at a desired rate. And that's up to you, the guitar player, the one holding this thing, the vessel, the vehicle, whatever you want to call it, you know. So just enjoy what you're doing, have fun, practice, and be free. You know, be free to express yourself. That's the coolest thing when playing guitar, is learning to express yourself. And that takes time and practice. But I'm confident that you guys watching this video are going to be able to do this stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.